This is Finley. I've started a new podcast called Z Force One, and in it, I talk with you about decision making and how decision making is, in its very nature, a quantum concept, something that sits with both the idea and the intent uh, and a long-term goal of obtaining it. These are like entangled concepts. So whatever your idea is and whatever that goal looks like in reality are entangled with one another. You learn by observing the goal what efforts you have to put in from the idea to reach the goal. So, in essence, you reverse engineer coming up with how to do a thing. You reverse engineer what it is accomplished to what materials you have available. And between the efforts of knowing the idea and investigating the process, you discover a way to make the thing reality. Well, there's a lot of people out there right now who are trying to make a second American Civil War a reality. And they're doing it on the basis of a document called the Constitution. And they're not even like cognizant of what is in the Constitution. So I have myself a burger version. He was a Supreme Court justice from 1969 to 1986. So this is a constitution that I looked up. I have verified across multiple sources that it is not missing text from. My understanding is there's a couple of versions going out that are associated with Bibles that have text missing. So before you ever do anything for yourself that involves following somebody else telling you what to do, you should know something about the stuff that you're doing. So, for example, United States military people take an oath not to follow domestic terrorist orders. Like you outright disobey that if you want, and you have legal recourse for doing so. So the Constitution is one of the things that backs your ability to do that. And there's some really interesting pieces in the Constitution that actually show you how Trump isn't even legally a president because he doesn't meet the basic idea, and how treason, like what people like to call treason, it's not what they think. And I think I'll start with that. So, we're going to go to Article 3, Section 3 of the United States. Treason against the United States shall consist only in levying war against them, or in adhering to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort. No person shall be convicted of treason unless on the testimony of two witnesses to the same overt act, or on confession in open court. Hey, thanks for joining. So this is Article 3, Section 3. And what we've just discovered is that treason is only if you are at war against the United States and adhering to their enemies with aid and comfort. And that no person can be convicted of treason unless there's two witnesses. That makes this one of the few rules in America that has a legal limit to the number of witnesses that are available to determine if you are guilty of something. Usually, eyewitness testimony is taken into effect, but isn't part of the requirement. So we have millions of people who've witnessed crimes against America currently ongoing. We just haven't been able to have a day in court over it. So the rest of that section is that Congress shall have the power to declare the punishment of treason, but no attainder of treason shall work corruption of blood or forfeiture except during the life of the person attainted. And so what that means, essentially, is that Congress has to declare a punishment for the person who's been guilty of that treason, and that has to happen while they're alive, and it can't be after they have passed away. So what this means is that if Trump is not tried for treason and impeached by Congress while he lives, he will never ever have that happen if he dies. And I'm not saying anything about like, I mean, he's having some serious health issues right now, so it could just be natural issues. Uh, but that is Article 3, Section 3, and it is directly out of the Constitution. So, what we know for sure is that if a president unleashes military forces on citizens inside of the United States, he's literally warring against America. And we know that soldiers have an obligation to disobey. That's right, an obligation to disobey illegal orders. So any soldiers that were to say sit down or take a knee or fail to respond to illegal orders would actually be well within their rights and their responsibilities under the oath that they took to defend the Constitution. Crazy that. It's super crazy that. So, but I mean, like, I don't make the rules. I'm just going to read them to y'all. So I wanted to highlight that one because No King's Day is coming up and people are getting edgy about what soldiers will or will not do. And I think that you have to know that at any given point in time inside the United States, there is always a mixture of people who are tyrannical and people who fight tyrants. And frequently, the balance inside of the military leans towards tyrannical mind structures. However, there has always been and will always be a component within the military that is the driving core force of it, which is a dissenting voice that is a compassionate moral voice that says, the fuck are you thinking of doing to those people? That's totally wrong and not why I joined the military. But here we go. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, and promote the general welfare and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. And that is just the opening. Article 1, Section 1. All legislative powers herein granted shall be vested in a Congress of the United States, which shall consist of a Senate and a House of Representatives. Fantastic. We're in the how the world is going to be broken down. So we established with the first paragraph why we want this Constitution: to secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. That really is not what I'm seeing right now in the movement of ICE and the attack on inflatables. Will go down in history somewhere like some of the stuff we saw in the 1960s. So, Section 2, the House of Representatives shall be composed of members chosen every second year by the people of the several states, and the electors in each state shall have the qualifications requisite for electors of the most numerous branch of the state legislature. So that right there, I'm not even going to continue. There's qualifications for every post within the American government, and if you don't meet those qualifications, you don't belong in the government. So then we continue. No person shall be a representative who shall not have attained the age of 25 years and been 7 years a citizen of the United States, and who shall not, when elected, be an inhabitant of that state in which he shall be chosen. Now, this inhabitant thing is really important. Residency in the United States is a huge component of whether or not you're eligible to even be the president. And we'll see in one of the later articles the direct number of years required for president. Representatives and direct taxes shall be apportioned among the several states that may be included within this union, according to their respective numbers, which shall be determined by adding to the whole number of free persons, including those bound to service for a term of years, and excluding Indians not taxed, 3/5 of all the other persons. And there's a note that says this was changed by Section 2 of the 14th Amendment, which we will get to later. The actual enumeration shall be made within 3 years after the first meeting of the Congress of the United States, and within every subsequent term of 10 years, in such manner as they shall by law direct. The number of representatives shall not exceed one for every 30,000, but each state shall have at least one representative. And until such enumeration shall be made, the state of New Hampshire shall be entitled to choose 3, Massachusetts 8, Rhode Island and Providence Plantations 1, Connecticut 5, New York 6, New Jersey 4, Pennsylvania 8, Delaware 1, Maryland 6, Virginia 10, North Carolina 5, South Carolina 5, and Georgia 3. When vacancies happen in the representation from any state, the executive authority thereof shall issue writs of election to fill such vacancies. The House of Representatives shall choose their speaker and other officers and shall have the sole power of impeachment. Okay, this is a very important piece right here. When vacancies happen in the representation from any state, the executive authority thereof shall issue writs of election to fill such vacancies. So the executive authority within the state is the one who issues the writs of election to fill the representation vacancies. In our habit and our country, we have acted as this person has the executive authority to handle elections within the state. They even make an office in every state for elections, and that's what that job is to make sure that they're doing their constitutional amendment jobs. Okay, so we're going to continue to the Senate now. In Section 3, now keeping in mind we are still only in Article 1. Article 1, Section 3, the Senate of the United States shall be composed of 2 senators from each state, chosen by the legislature thereof for 6 years, and each senator shall have 1 vote. And I'm going to stop there for a minute. This is a longer one too, but this is again putting into the hands of the state the rights of choosing the voting. So the senators come from the states, 2 from each state, and they're chosen by that legislature. Now that one also has a change to it that happened in the 17th Amendment, which we will get to later. But at this point, in the very beginning of the Constitution in 1775, 1776, you were going to get 2 senators from each state, and the legislature was who dealt with the elections. Immediately after they shall be assembled in consequence of their first election, they shall be divided as equally as may be into 3 classes. The seats of the senators of the first class shall be vacated at the expiration of the 2nd year, of the 2nd class at the expiration of the 4th year, and at the 3rd class at the expiration of the 6th year, so that 1/3 may be chosen every 2nd year. And if vacancies happen by resignation or otherwise during the recess of the legislature of any state, the executive thereof may make temporary appointments until the next meeting of the legislature, which shall then fill such vacancies. So this means the vacancies in the states, this is all handled at the state level. The federal government will deal with the people who the states send, is what this is saying. This is not saying that federal government has any control over who the states can send. So now we move on. No person shall be a senator who shall not have attained the age of 30 years. So in the House, they had to be 25 years. In the Senate, they have to be 30 years. And have been 9 years a citizen in this. So the House of Representatives, it didn't say how many years. It said you had to have qualifications, 7 years a citizen. So 25 years old, 7 years a citizen in the United States to be in the representatives. In the Senate, 30 years old, 9 years a citizen, and not, when elected, be an inhabitant of the state that you've been chosen. You get that? Not, and who shall not, when elected, be an inhabitant of that state for which he shall be chosen. That trips me out. That literally says that the senator doesn't have to come from the state that they're going to be senator for. The vice president of the United States shall be president of the Senate, but shall have no vote unless they be equally divided. So there's rules, there's jobs for the vice president as president of the Senate, but only to divide a vote. The Senate shall choose their other officers and also a president pro tem in the absence of the vice president or when he shall exercise the office of president of the United States. So the vice president is literally a swing job. He is the substitute teacher for either the president or the Senate, depending on who needs him. The Senate shall then have the sole purpose to try all impeachments. Okay, so the Senate has the purpose to try the impeachments, but the House of Representatives has the sole power of impeachment. So the House has to say, we impeach, and then the Senate has to say, oh, yeah, or no, we're not. Um, the Senate acts like the judiciary in this instance, is what I'm saying. So when they're sitting for that purpose, they shall be on oath or affirmation. And when the President of the United States is tried, the Chief Justice shall preside. And no person shall be convicted without the concurrence of 2/3 of members present. So I just want to stop every single person out there who has ever thought or said that there is no clause in the United States Constitution for trying a president. I quote, when the President of the United States is tried, the Chief Justice shall preside. I think we should put that on t-shirts. When the President of the United States is tried, the Chief Justice shall provide. We could do that over and over like a song. And no person shall be convicted without the concurrence of 2/3 of the members present. 2/3 of the members present. That means they don't even all have to be there. Judgment in cases of impeachment shall not extend further than to removal of office and disqualification to hold and enjoy any office, honor, trust, or profit under the United States, but the party convicted shall nevertheless be liable and subject to indictment, trial, judgment, and punishment according to the law. This is literally a section on trying presidents. So it's available, it happens, it is an option. It's just that we have Congress that is failing to do their jobs because they're complicit. So, Section 4 says the times, places, and manners of holding elections for senators and representatives shall be prescribed in each state by the legislature thereof, but the Congress may at any time by law make or alter such regulations except as to the places of choosing senators. The Congress shall assemble at least once in every year, and such meeting shall be on the first Monday in December. That was changed by Section 2 of the 20th Amendment, unless they shall by law appoint a different day. Section 5. Each House shall be the judge of the elections, returns, and qualifications of its own members, and a majority of each shall constitute a quorum to do business, but a smaller number may adjourn from day to day and may be authorized to compel the attendance of absent members in such manner and under such penalties as each house may provide. Okay, so right there, I swear that is an avenue for minority house to hold the majority house responsible for not showing up to work by shutting the government down. But hey, I don't think they have read the Constitution. So I'm going to keep reading. Each house may determine the rules of its proceedings, punish its members for disorderly behavior, and, with the concurrence of 2/3, expel a member. Each house shall keep a journal of its proceedings and from time to time publish the same, except such parts as may, in their judgment, require secrecy, and the yeas and nays of the members of either house on the question shall, at desire of 1/5 of those present, be entered on the journal. So that was a method for them to maintain secrecy. Hi, thanks for coming. Neither house during this session of Congress shall, without consent of the other, adjourn for more than 3 days, nor to any other place than that which the two houses shall be sitting. So all this stuff where the speaker shuts down the house and they're blaming it, like, it seems to me the Constitution has an avenue for them to take in order to be able to force the majority to show up to work anyways, and that if they are failing to do that, then they too are part of what is causing the shutdown. All right, Section 6. The senators and representatives shall receive a compensation for their services to be ascertained by law and paid out of the Treasury of the United States. They shall, in all cases except treason, felony, and breach of peace, be privileged from arrest during their attendance at the session of their respective houses, and in going to and returning from the same, and for any speech or debate in either house, they shall not be questioned in any other place. So that lists out how we are already making a stand in the idea of representation who is now a felon, or representation who is breaking the peace, or representation who is also committing treason. They shall be privileged from arrest during their attendance at the House in session, except in all cases, except for treason, felony, and breach of the peace. So right there is what it says. You don't have to respect their privilege of position if they are criminals. They're not eligible for the position. Okay, no senator or representative shall, during the time for which he was elected, be appointed to any civil office under the authority of the United States, which shall have been created, or the emoluments there whereof shall have been increased during such time, and no person holding any office under the United States shall be a member of either house during his continuance in office. So now keeping in mind, we're talking about for senators and their representatives, but we're literally saying that at the time they were elected, they can't be appointed if they've ever had problems with the emoluments change or they were already holding a different office. Now it goes on to section 7, and what happens here is that I'm actually getting quite tired. What am I talking about? I'm talking about Article 6 of I'm sorry, Article 1, Section 6 of the Constitution, and I'm reading directly from my copy and discussing what I'm seeing. So I'm about to start Section 7, and then I was looking, I think I'm going to have to hold Section 7 for tomorrow around this same time, y'all, because I have a couple of medical issues, and I'm starting to get vocally tired. So we'll do tomorrow at Section 7. Thank you for stopping by while I was reading, and if you would like to join me for some, I will be doing that tomorrow at about 4 o'clock. Between now and then, thank you. I don't actually know how to stop it.